An exhibition like this one depends on archives. And actually we've tried, and when we were developing the notion and when we were entering the subject in more detail, after maybe 6 months, we realized that the whole of the world, and particularly the whole of Europe, is full of the most amazing archives, the most amazing collections, and that many of those collections are extremely deep but extremely narrow. And I think that was exactly what we were looking for.
The counterpart of OMA's architecture practice is AMO, a research studio based in Rotterdam. While in OMA remains dedicated to the realization of buildings and master plans, AMO operates in areas beyond the traditional boundaries of architecture, including media, politics, sociology, renewable energy, technology, fashion, curating, publishing, and graphic design. AMO often works in parallel with OMA's clients to fertilize architecture with intelligence from this area of disciplines. This is the case with Prada. AMO's research into identity, in-store technology, and new possibility of content production of fashion helped generate OMA's architecture designs for new Prada epicenter stores in New York and Los Angeles. In 2004, AMO was commissioned by European Union to study to visual communication and design a colored Waco flag, combining the flags of all member states, that was used during the Austrian presidency of the EU.
James Westcott works at AMO, where he was co-editor of Project Japan, and now coordinates research with the Harvard Graduate School of Design on elements of architecture. Exhibition at the 2014 Venice Architectural Biennale. Westcott also co-teaches the Studio Vertical Cities Asia at TU Delft, and is the author of When Marina Abramovic Dies, a biography. James Westcott has written on art, architecture, and politics for numerous publications, including The Guardian and The Village Voice, and was editor of ArtReview.com. He now writes and edits for AMO, the think tank and publishing unit of Koolhaas Office for Metropolitan Architecture in Rotterdam.
Koolhaas addresses the fact that architects are willing to talk more about creative design rather than the design method behind the project. What he did in the passage is to first deconstruct architecture into elements pieces. Second, simplify designing process as putting elements together. This passage serves as a manifesto and research only for part 1. He calls for something straightforward and authoritative, like construction handbook in Nazi time. It was a book designed for building professionals, teachers, students learning about construction, layout and design, form, structure, interior design, and practical use of space.
He makes an assumption that catalogs of architecture is stable, so that they could be researched into separately as the fundamental elements. He based his assumption on the fact that no matter how the form of these elements changes, the number of its category remains relatively stable.
The paragraph before he starts his argument, he seems to change his style of writing to a stream of consciousness novels, through which he describes his rudimental memory and experience with the basic elements of architecture.
Ram presents history and revolution of EOA. Habitat construction in which EOA has not been identified so clearly. Architecture begins to form when the elements are formed and put together. How these units are related to each other when the concept of a city is absorbed. Modernized, reinvented element in Renaissance. Function becomes the new beauty. Elevator and other facilities redefined the envelope of a building. comfort and security obsession in digital era.
In the second part, the author discussed the revolution of EOA because of the technical inventions. Many architectural elements partly turned into machines, such as toilet, fireplace, window, the staircase. Architects lose their originality and uniqueness because what they do is just assemble elements that have been defined by others. Some architects try to combine art and modernization, such as loose Doric elevator in Chicago Tubing Tower and Mies. Renan Benham wrote Architecture of the Well-Tempered Environment in 1969. The forward thrust of his language could not hide the fact that he was reporting old events. The triumph of air conditioning that he celebrated was already 100 years old.
In this history of architecture of the previous 100 years, Benham explores the technological developments in the unglamorous field of ventilation, heating, and lighting that have enabled the formal departures of 20th century design.
The development of systems and high-tech suggested that architecture could be based on the new inventions without history. Then some architects stand against this situation, like Charles Jack's language of postmodern architecture. It focused purely on the traditional elements of architecture and ignoring the elevator, escalator, and air conditioning as if they simply did not exist.
Charles Alexander Jenks is an American architecture theorist and critic, landscape architect, and designer. His books on the history and criticism of modernism and postmodernism are widely read in architectural circles. He studied under the influential architectural historian Siegfried Gildium and René Benham. Jack now lives in Scotland, where he designs landscape sculpture. Digital, just like mechanics, changes our life, but it also brings dangers. When the digital technology makes our house to become smart, they can control us at the same time. From the Russian buildings in late 1980s to Snowden's revelations, our homes become less and less private. Your house may betray you. The writer also proposed the new trinity: comfort, security, and sustainability. This new trinity, enabled by digital, entirely changed the anterior practices of architecture. It is still unknown how it will reshape and redefine the elements of architecture.
In the article, Beyond Efficiency, the writer also discussed about technology and architecture. In this article, David Benjamin tried to emphasize that there should be a balance between the strengths of efficiency and creativity. His theory focuses on parametric design. He proposed 5 strategies to achieve the balance. 1. Design and algorithm. 2. Computing more than physical factors such as aesthetic and atmosphere. 3. Design problems. 4. Optimization. 5. Democratizing design. Consider broader public when set up a parametric model with value.
Koolhaas also discussed about creativity, but he focused on the modernity period. He believes that architects become tools assigned on the process of architectural design. What they did was just combining objects made by other people. It's more collection than creation.
For digital building, he discussed the privacy of architecture. David Benjamin considers more about how to design, while Koolhaas cares more about after design.